CNN panics as vote certification in Pennsylvania and Michigan are in doubt. In this video, we're going to take a look at how CNN's coverage of this ongoing campaign reveals an increasing anxiety over the election results, how both the courts and the legislatures in Michigan and Pennsylvania are signaling that they may indeed refuse to certify the results, and why a number of experts are predicting that Trump may indeed successfully bring this election into the House of Representatives, all but guaranteeing his reelection. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here, ready to bring you our latest episode celebrating the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We'd love to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we focus on optimism and encouragement in the midst of all the defeatist fake news nonsense spewed out by the mainstream media. Before we get into it, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's the makers of this beautiful Fighter Flare flashlight. Now you're gonna love this. One of the best things that you can invest in for your home protection when the lights go out is the 6-in-1 Beauty, which comes with a 3,000 mAh solar powered recharging battery. It's equipped with a high and low beam light that you can see from miles away. It has an emergency strobe light, it has a compass, it has a wire and rope cutter, it has an emergency glass breaker hammer, and a high powered military grade magnet. It's absolutely awesome. And best of all, you get 30% off in celebration of Black Friday, but supply is limited. So do not wait. Click on the link below. Get your super awesome Fighter Flare flashlight today. All right, again, let's dive right in here. CNN is panicking. And they're panicking because they are realizing that the vote certification in Pennsylvania and Michigan is in fact in doubt. Now that's what their headline read earlier this morning. Vote certification, Michigan, Pennsylvania in question. Now, that was their headline up to a few hours ago, as I understand it. And I think that the powers that be didn't, they didn't like to show that they were panicking, or they didn't like how they were panicking their leftist globalist audience. So they changed the headline to the far more innocuous, here's where things stand as vote certification looms in key states. And if you read the article, it's just whistling past the graveyard rhetoric. It's all the way through. Don't worry, gang. Don't worry. Michigan will certify its results probably today. Everything's fine there. Pennsylvania, too. A judge threw out Rudy's case against the state electors there. So to try to stop them from certifying the election results, it's over. They've got nothing. And so the Trump team is falling apart as December 14th approaches, which is a date that the electors officially declare Biden the president-elect. Everything is fine. That was the nature of the article. Actually, it was the one factual thing about it. Biden has emphatically not been made president-elect. The media doesn't coronate our presidents. Electors decide who is and who is not our president. But other than that, CNN is just telling their leftist viewers a narrative that really could not be farther removed from reality. So let's start with the explosive developments in Pennsylvania. Because basically, I think whatever happens in Pennsylvania will most likely happen in Michigan and onward. They're almost identical in terms of the legal and legislative challenges that both states are facing. So in Pennsylvania, you've got two theaters of war going on here, the legislative and the legal. They're like two flanks in the attack on getting these election results decertified or non-certified to begin with. So let's look at the legal flank. This is where the Harvard constitutional scholar Alan Dershowitz comes in, okay? Look at this headline from Newsweek. It's very telling. I think it's a very honest headline. Trump wants Congress to decide election, and that strategy could win, Dershowitz says. And what Dershowitz is arguing here is that Rudy's argument is a winner, okay? Supreme Court Justice Sam Alito has already said as much. He's given Rudy a path to victory. And this is because Justice Alito issued a direct order to election officials in Pennsylvania requiring them to separate all ballots received after 8 p.m. on November 3rd from all the ballots cast prior to 8 p.m. And the problem here is because the Pennsylvania Supreme Court actually changed the date of the election. By judicial fiat, they overstepped their bounds and allowed ballots to come in after the 8 p.m. deadline on November 3rd set by the Pennsylvania legislature. And Alito has already indicated that he believes this is a clear violation of the Constitution by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, because the U.S. Constitution gives the sole authority to prescribe the time, place, and manner of an election to the state legislatures, not to judges, not to electors, not to secretaries of state. So Alito has indicated that he and the conservatives on the Supreme Court will indeed rule that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court obviously and blatantly rewrote the law. A court intervened in such a way that expressly changed the law from the unambiguous, non-negotiable deadline of 8 p.m. on Election Day. And Dershowitz is arguing that that case is going to win. It will win at the level of the Supreme Court, which in effect illegitimates Pennsylvania's vote, since the vote counters, as I understand, failed to separate the votes cast after 8 p.m. on November 3rd from the votes received prior to that unambiguous deadline. Now, if Dershowitz is right and Trump wins the Pennsylvania court case via the Supreme Court, it's game on. The results of all these other swing states will most likely get overturned as a result. So that's what's going on over at the legal or the legal flank. Let's take a look at the legislative flank. Both Michigan and Pennsylvania are experiencing similar problems with their certification process of key counties that Biden won in a very suspicious manner. Now, you know that in a dramatic reversal, the two Republicans on the Wayne County Election Board, which oversees the city of Detroit, they officially rescinded their votes, which in turn decertified the results of the county that Biden must win in order to win Michigan. Both Republican electors signed sworn affidavits that they were threatened and intimidated and bullied into voting to certify the ballots, the integrity of which were so obviously compromised. Now, these affidavits signal possible legal action against these Democrat electors. In their signed affidavit, the Republican electors testified that they were pressured to certify the vote, even though discrepancies were found in nearly 3/4 of the vote. Nearly 75% of Detroit's precincts poll books where ballots did not match the chain of custody that was needed there. Something similar is happening in Montgomery County in Pennsylvania. What's happening, I don't know if you know this, very fascinating. What's happening in Montgomery County is that we may indeed be seeing the single most persuasive case for blatant voter fraud in the nation. But first, before we get into that, make sure you download our free gift for you by clicking on the link below. It's called our Fake News Antidote. Is that not cool? It's a compilation of about 20 sites that I go to for my news each and every day, all conservative, all celebrating Trump and nationalist populism. And we need these news resources now more than ever. And you can download your own copy of our Fake News Antidote completely free at the link down below in the pinned comment section, and you have a ready list of your go-to sites that you'll definitely enjoy and will inspire you throughout this entire crazy election process. Yours is absolutely free by clicking on the link below. It is my gift to you. Now, this is coming to us via Darren Beatty over at the Revolver.News. In Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, as Beatty reports, we're seeing what is perhaps the single most compelling case that many data analysts have seen thus far for voter fraud. Okay, so here's what we know from the data that has been cross-referenced between the New York Times voting data and the Montgomery County voting data. Just after 9 a.m. on Thursday, November 5th, a massive batch of about 90,000 mail-in ballots got added to the Pennsylvania total. Now, this apparently is non-controvertible. It's irrefutable data from New York Times database, cross-referenced with the Montgomery County database. Okay, now there are two major anomalies associated with this massive ballot dump. First, 95% of those ballots were made out for Joe Biden. Okay, this is incontrovertible. It's not a contested fact. The problem here is that this massive level of support is completely anomalous to all other percentages of support before the ballot dump and all other percentages of support after the ballot dump. In other words, we're not seeing a dump of mail-in ballots anywhere else in the voting data in Pennsylvania with 95% support for Biden. Now, you may say that it may have been a precinct that was just nearly 100% Democrat. But there's another anomaly to this voting dump. It's not just Biden that got this massive amount of support. The Libertarian candidate also got a disproportionate vote tally in this dump. The same 90,000 mail-in vote dump that gave Biden an unprecedented surge of support also gave a massive upsurge of support for the Libertarian candidate. And this would make Montgomery County the single most Libertarian county in the state, which it's not. Now, again, there's no objective data to account for this surge in support either for Biden or for the Libertarian candidate. In other words, everyone is doing great with this ballot dump, better than they've done anywhere else in the state before or after, except for Trump. Now, it gets better. Again, this is incontrovertible. Not only is this batch of mail-in votes completely anomalous to all the other voting that's been going on in the state, but there's a second strange anomaly. And that's the fact that even though 90,000 mail-in votes were added just after 9 a.m. on Thursday morning to the vote total, the total number of Pennsylvania votes that were counted at that moment only went up 9,000 votes. Now, of course, if 90,000 ballots are added to your vote total in the state, your vote total should go up by, it should increase by 90,000 votes. When you cross-reference the New York Times data with the county data, the vote total only goes up 9,000 votes, which means somehow just over 81,000 votes, most of which were in-person voting, got erased. They were in effect replaced with this new vote dump. So if you read the article on revolver.news, they go over every single possible explanation for these incontrovertible facts. And the only explanation that in the end has any real plausibility to it is the explanation of deliberate voter fraud. And so now the Pennsylvania legislature just passed a resolution authorizing a full audit of Pennsylvania's election results. And they're focusing in on Montgomery County, particularly as perhaps the single most blatant and provable example of voter fraud in the state. So it's looking more and more like they're not going to be able to certify the Pennsylvania election. It's a perfect storm, as it were, of the Supreme Court coming together with the most compelling case of algorithmically demonstrable fraud that's going to make the Pennsylvania results in the end uncertifiable. And if Pennsylvania falls, Michigan falls. Michigan and Pennsylvania are basically mirror cases of each other. They're not going to be able to certify Wayne County, Detroit. There's just too many anomalies in there. And without Wayne County, Biden loses Michigan. And then you combine that with 100,000 absentee ballots in Wisconsin that are going to be tossed through their audit because they don't have requests connected with them. Wisconsin's interesting because Wisconsin requires all absentee ballots to have a traceable request from the voter. And the tossing of 100,000 votes in Wisconsin and the audits in Georgia and possibly in Arizona, Georgia for sure, but Arizona may step up. This election will not get certified. The election, the non-certifications renders each candidate devoid of 270 votes, which means that constitutionally it has to go to the House of Representatives, where every state gets one vote from the delegates designated by their state legislatures. And Republicans have 31 states to the Democrats' 19, and Trump wins re-election. That's the path to victory that we are currently on. And those Democrats who are realizing it are indeed beginning to panic, just like CNN. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you'll definitely want to check out my latest video. Just posted it on highlights from the massive pro-Trump demonstrations in Georgia, particularly in Atlanta over the weekend. It was absolutely awesome. It's going to so encourage you. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.